but every time the guy came back to me and I tried to give him my money, they wouldn't take it.
Okay.
And I really don't know who was who was my benefactor.
Okay. Well, it seemed to work out. You made it home at least, huh?
Oh yeah, exactly. Oh, and it gets even more amazing.
Right. So tell us continue the story here. What happened?
Well, so we begin the ritual, and it's a full moon, and I get some great shots of the full moon over both pyramids, which I believe hasn't really ever been done before because no one is generally allowed there at night.
And this is
maybe somebody has snuck in and taken pictures, but anyway.
And this is at Tikal, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have two looming pyramids standing over us, and we're in a central plate in the center.
Mm-hmm.
And the central plate has never been filled to capacity before. Since this pyramid structure has been found, no Mayans have ever done a ritual there all night.
Mm-hmm.
And no Mayans have ever filled the plate completely. And so this was the first occurrence of this. And it was also, So the first occurrence of them doing this all night long. And we get there, we set it all up, the Tribe of Nations builds a pyramid of incense, and the ceremony begins. Now, I'm trying to film it while participating, so I have my cameras, and I've got everything going, and I'm also kissing the ground and bringing in the four corners, as it were. They were calling to each east, west, north, and south.
Right.
And then they began the marimbas, and the marimbas played all night long, and we just they called off to their gods.
Right.
And to their ancestors, I guess.
So you got it on tape at least, or have
yes, I have 10 hours of footage and 1,000 pictures.
There we go.
It was interesting because the Rainbow Tribe, they began doing fire dancing on the pyramid, and the Mayans were like, "Oh no, what's this?" And my friend Giannis, who was kind of in charge of everything, looks at him and says, "Oh no, this is okay. This is the way the rainbow dispel evil spirits."
Okay.
And so then the Mayans were like, "Oh, okay." And so they had the fire dancing. And the Mayans did the ritual around the fire. And if you watch my video, Freeman in Maya Land, you can watch the ceremony. I've put that up. And also on another one I've titled Ceremony that I did for the the Institute for Noetic Sciences.
Right. So this, do you remember exactly from which location this was? Was this from the Tikal location that you filmed?
Yes.
All right, cool.
And so it's the first time anybody's ever seen this. This is the first time.
Right.
Done all night.
Wow, that's very nice. So, did you get to see this place also during daytime, Tikal?
Well, yes. So the ceremony goes all night, but I wanted to sleep on the pyramid, so I went ahead and took a nap about 3 and 4 in the morning, and told my friends to wake me when the sun came up because I wanted to see that.
Right.
And so I awake, and I am at the top of the pyramid, and it's just completely covered in fog, and the howling monkeys are going off, and the birds and everything, and it's just a mystical land, no pun intended. I mean, the whole area is covered in mist. You can't see the sunrise at all.
Right.
But I stood there, and I watched the shimmer of yellow behind the clouds go up, and filmed that moment. I had to film that moment.
Of course. So you have, what did you say, 10, 20 hours of video?
Yes, 10 hours.
10 hours. So have you gone through all of the material yet?
I've been going over it. I interviewed the Mayan Tatas for 2 hours. 1 hour before the ceremony at the Calcuha Foundation and then 1 hour afterwards.
Right.
And the things that they told me were that, one, the next visitors to Tikal would be the fish. They are expecting a major catastrophe to begin in next year, 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that their messages were fuzzy because of all the trouble that we had gone through to get there, and all of the things that happened to make them so tired.
Okay.
But they told us beforehand that they knew a group of humans would survive, those that discovered the mystery. They said that most are unconscious, and they are just living this happy, indifferent life that has no spiritual ways. and it's those that discover the mystery that will survive this coming catastrophe. They said that it's been a vision of theirs from time immemorial, and they even mentioned that other countries are preparing bunkers and such.
Well, of course.
But they said that the Earth and the Sun have prepared a place for them in the caves, and that they're ready to survive this and come back, and they know that they'll be guided.
So, I mean, did they say that they're going to be at where they are now, at the somewhere close to the Andes? Then I get the mountain chains, anything like that. Did you hear anything?
Yeah, they have a spot near Guatemala City that has temples on their land, but it's never been visited by tourists. It's their own land, the Kakuha's land, which is supposed to have passages to the subterranean realms.
Right.
And so then they invited us all for the end of the world to come and survive with them under the ground
That's nice.
on their land. They gave the land to us. They said, this is yours. And how I ended up becoming North American Intergalactic Rainbow Ambassador to the Mayans is that they asked me to come back and tell their story and help get them donations, or because they're not used to money, and they don't have money, and they don't have work or jobs. They just perform these ceremonies. And they said that these ceremonial fires could heal the ozone, could soften the blow of the catastrophe if they could just perform them enough. And so they'd hoped that I'd come back and spread their message to the world and help them get money, because they can't get it on their own, to purchase these lands, that their ceremonial lands, and to also be able to perform the rituals.
That's interesting. So were they even more specific than that regarding this catastrophe? You mentioned that they say that's going to be something next year. What region, globally, or did you hear anything like that?
Well, I'm still translating some of this, but they were definitely saying because of the modern ecological destruction, humanity's not going to survive. The planet is going through purification. They were saying that there would be a minor catastrophe, as it were, in 2009. The Mayans and the Guatemalans all around San Pedro, where the Lake Atalan, are all selling off their beachfront property because they expect all of this to be underwater.
Okay.
Then one of the Freemason Mayans that had come with us, but not the ceremonial Tata, told me that he had messages from the Secret Brotherhood, from the Great White Brotherhood, and that he had maps of what the world would look like at the end once the catastrophe occurred, and that he wanted to give these to me. Now they had informed him of me, and he really wanted to get connected with me. So he said he would give me these maps if we went past his house on our way home, and we did. And he gave me a disc with all of the maps, and I didn't look at them then. But when I returned back to San Pedro under the volcano, I began looking at these pictures, and I was like, wait a minute, I know these pictures. Being a long-time conspiracy theorist, I was well aware of Gordon Michael Scallion's predictions for 5/5/2000.
Right, I've seen those, yeah, sure.
And so these were the maps that the Mason was saying he got from the Great White Brotherhood.
Well, okay, well, that kind of makes me suspicious. What about you? I mean...
Yeah, definitely. At that point, I was like... this is no new information.
No, of course not.
We went through an extra little trip to go to his house, but hey, it makes a good story, doesn't it?
Well, it does, but I mean, this is quite serious. I mean, do you get the sense that, I mean, is this really, genuine like that then, or is this actually built on some kind of, half-baked story in order to actually ramp up some of the mystery surrounding this? What do you think?
Well, I feel that this man was sincere. He was not one of the ceremonial shamans. He was not trying to give me a message that he received during the ceremony or anything like that. I felt that he really thought he was onto something, and that he had gathered this information from secret sources, or that he just had knowledge that he thought that we wouldn't have. He didn't know how deep of a researcher I really was.
Right.
I feel like he really meant what he was saying. He was very sincere. He was a doctor as well.
Right. But
and so the Mayans that did the ceremony, they kept saying that the Day of Money is over, but they felt that in the past, the Mayans of the past had done wrong in not allowing people from all over to come.
Mm-hmm.
And so they wanted to rectify that situation and get all of us out there. And they said one people can do it well, but all the people can do it better. And they were hoping that people would pick up on the ceremonial fires and start doing them all over the world. And so I did. Another interesting little connection, I went to what's known as the Enchanted Forest here in Austin and was doing the ceremonial fires. I had snuck back a bag of the incense, which I actually lost in the George H.W. Intercontinental Airport and thought for sure I was going to get in some serious trouble. But I had snuck this incense back, and so I built a fire in the middle of Austin, in downtown, and every night for 3 weeks I created a ceremonial fire doing my part as the North American Intergalactic Rainbow Ambassador.
Right.
What was really interesting is after I'd done this fire and we were sitting around it, a couple of friends that I had filmed, and you can see them as well. They're called Sangre del Sol, and I have them in my videos as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're a fire dancing troupe here in Austin. And one of the girls shows up, and we're just sitting around talking, and I'm still excited about the trip, so I was telling them about the sanctifying the fire and that I had done this ritual with the Mayans on the winter solstice. And she says, "Oh, we were there last year." Now, what are the odds that 3 people sitting around a ceremonial fire in the middle of downtown Austin would have performed ceremonies with the Mayans on the winter solstice? I mean, this just starts to get too much.
There's more people involved here than you guessed at the beginning, eh?
Well, no. I think it's miraculous. I think it's the universe speaking to me. I think that all of this is a miracle.
Sure, I hear what you're saying.
This is just reconfirming. This is just confirming all of that.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you have this little incense thing that you do. Were you given instructions then on what to say or what to focus your intent on? Was there anything like that involved in this ceremony?
Not too much. What had actually occurred is they had asked us all to come up at once, and we actually started to put out the fire with the incense, and the Mayans kind of panicked at this point, and they were like, "Oh, hold on." Right. So then what I noticed that was different between us and them is that I think we're a little more shy, or we're not used to calling out in our rituals or something, because they had asked us to state our names and where we were from and to state our intentions, but most of us were silent in our reverence. Most of us threw the incense out and called to our forces in our heads,
right?
Whereas the Mayans called it out vocally.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's a difference there, though? I mean, in regards to actually vocalizing something, I've heard that certain, a message or even a question, or if you, seek guidance or whatever, that it actually is more powerful if you actually vocalize it. What do you think?
I agree. And I think that this introvert nature is a downfall. I think that's what keeps people from dancing in the streets, and that's what really keeps us from living, because we're all afraid, we're a little shy, we've been beat and traumatized all of our lives through institutions, and we've become closed off to this type of thinking and liveliness.
Mm.
And so I see it as a serious fault, and I really believe that's what a biggest problem is with our planet right now, is that we don't know reverence and celebration, and that we can't sing and dance in the streets as we should.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, the important thing is that we should do what we please anyway,
Yes.
I've been kind of tortured the other way around, in some cases, of people that want to do it, but they don't allow you to have your privacy.